I'm Danny, that witch next door, and you're listening to That Witch Podcast. Here, and let me hit record. Here, and hello, neighbor. Welcome to another episode of That Witch Podcast. Welcome to another Shadow Chats episode. I'm Danny. I'm That Witch Next Door. I'm going to be your host, guide, mentor, and instructor in all things magic, witchcraft, astrology, and witchy business. And I am joined by my wonderful colleague, Ashley of StarSeedShadows. Hi, Ash.
Hello. So happy to be back.
I am excited for Capricorn today.
I am too. I love Capricorn energy. Capricorn energy was like an acquired taste for me at first, and now I can't get enough. Yeah.
Okay, right off of the bat,
Yeah.
I want to go into that. Yeah, so I was like, I want to just dive into this. Tell me, I want us each to talk about that a little because
for sure.
I really, really love Capricorn energy too. So I want to hear each of our appreciations of it. How did it start out for you?
Well, I think it's because my dad is a Capricorn. So my Sagittarius ass was raised by earth signs, a Capricorn and a Taurus. So, they tried to keep me down, but they couldn't. So love you, Dad, so much. He taught me a lot of valuable information, but still, I think especially when I was like in the beginning of learning astrology, call it quote pop astrology, Capricorn gets this rap. And we've talked about this before on this podcast, the rap that certain signs get. And Capricorn gets one that's kind of like standoffish and to themselves and always working and kind of crabby and just not wanting to be bothered and
boring.
money.
I feel like they get labeled boring a lot. Yeah.
Boring. And only when I got deeper into my studies, honestly, it was when I started studying my chart deeper and found out that I have a stellium in Capricorn.
That'll do it.
I was like, well, I'm in fact more Capricorn than I thought. And I am. It shows up on my personality in a lot of ways. I can be quite type A sometimes.
Have you seen that meme that says, did it hurt when you found out the sign you hated most was one of your major placements in your chart?
I have seen that. I have seen that. And so that was my relationship. And so it was almost kind of like I was forced to get to know Capricorn energy more. And then I recognized and realized there's so much more to the Cappies than just work.
Totally.
And in fact, we all can learn a lot from their work ethic.
Oh, yeah.
The goats.
And maybe you're talking to two people that kind of fell in love with their work a little bit too.
Exactly.
So I get it.
I get it.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
So I am a huge fangirl of Capricorn. I love Capricorn energy. Very biased. There's something about it that I don't know if it's because I need it. I benefit from it. I have the same stellium that you do. Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, all in Cap. Which house is yours?
7.
Mine is in my 5th. And so this was very prominent because I was called the mom of like every friend group I was ever in.
Yeah.
Especially with Saturn in there, overseeing everything in my 5th house of like having fun and pleasures and letting loose. That's always been a challenge for me. That's always been a challenge for me. And so I have a Capricorn parent as well.
Oh my God, I love that.
That's so funny. So I had a rough relationship as well early on, and I totally subscribed to a lot of the stereotypes about Capricorn. And then I really threw myself into learning that energy as soon as I learned that I was in my Saturn return. And I just let myself learn a lot about it. And then I don't know how much I've ever talked about this on the show, but in 2020, like embarked on this journey with Saturn, like this really intentional on Saturdays. I mean, that was almost a patron deity of mine for a long time. And I think that's a big reason why I ended up just forming this really beautiful relationship with Capricorn.
It probably is. Yeah.
I have this like unpopular opinion because all of the astrologers, when the moon goes into Capricorn, is like, moon's in detriment, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I flat out disagree that I know that it's literally in the opposing sign and that's considered its detriment. I totally get that. I very much do. But I also think that because the moon orbits the earth, I think that the moon functions very well in earth signs overall.
I love that opinion. So
I
much,
think
actually.
it makes a big difference. The moon's the
so much,
only
actually. I never thought about it that way.
That orbits us.
Yeah.
It would make sense why we have the connection to the moon that we do and why Earth would have the connection to the moon that it does.
And why
as an
we
element.
have the connection to the earth that we do, you know?
Exactly.
We as human beings have such a deep connection to the moon and the earth. Ooh, girl, you got me thinking.
That when you take your shoes off and stand barefoot on the ground, you connect to the natural energetic current of the earth. That's a real ass. Look it up right now. Yeah, that's
grounding
talked about
is a
in
thing,
any circle.
honey.
Grounding is a thing. And so it makes a lot of sense how those things coincide for me. So I'm going to just right off the bat tell you that if you see a bunch of people telling you this will be a rough new moon because it's in Capricorn and detriment, I think that that comes from shadowy Capricorn qualities.
I would agree. And I think every new moon or full moon is a chance for us to work with those qualities. Like, think about it. It's new moon. We're building up. It's Capricorn energy. It's discipline. It's structure. You know, like, how can I create more structure in my life? Like, that might sound boring to some, but like some of us, most of us, all of us need it in some area of our lives in order to really be this big vision, this big version of self that we're all looking to attain.
Absolutely.
If anybody's listening to this podcast, they're on a path of self-empowerment, of personal development, if they're listening to this podcast. So yeah, you might want to talk about, you know, like witchiness and rituals, but structure and discipline are just as important, if not more important.
Hell yeah.
They're the foundation of what it is we do.
Took the words out of my mouth. Exactly. They're the foundation of manifestation and spell work. 150%. Capricorn energy, a big shadow can be shutting itself off totally and completely from emotion.
Yeah.
And this is where, sure, I could see detriment coming from.
I could too.
But I also want to talk about maybe sometimes the necessity of detaching from your emotions.
Yeah.
And taking a break from being an emotional motherfucker sometimes.
Girl, Black Moon Lilith has been in Cancer. I was just telling you, Black Moon Lilith has been in Cancer. Like, I need it too sometimes. You know, my Cancer rising. All the feelings, all the time. It's like, and I'm naturally a feely sort of person. So sometimes it is nice to just be like, I'm just in the moment. Yeah. We're not going to get all inner feels. We're just going to be in the moment.
I'm going to just let this one go. I'm going to, you know, like, honestly.
Right.
I'm just going to let this one slide. That's my poor Pisces moon. Sometimes that's what I have to say. It's just like, you know what? What if we just didn't give a fuck about this one thing?
God, I can relate so hard.
Instead of giving all the fucks about every single thing.
Exactly.
God.
Oh, it's so
That's
true.
something I learn very much from my Libra Aries husband.
That'll do it.
It always starts as a joke. Like, I'll tell him I'm feeling anxious or, you know, emotional about something. And he'll be like, oh, well, just don't anymore. And he always says it to make me laugh. And it's so funny because you really can sometimes take some value from that and be true. You could also just let yourself off the hook and just not give a fuck about this thing right now.
It makes me think of being in channel, to be honest with you, because oftentimes when I'm in channel, my guides or whoever I'm connecting with at that time, I've noticed those other entities and those other realms can be very to the point like that. Like, it's almost kind of like as earthlings, as beings of earth, as folks having human existences, a part of this human existence is to overcomplicate things. And one of the things we might need to do is kind of recognize, what if we just didn't? What if we just let it go? What if we just detached, right? The art of detachment, you know? Ooh.
Exactly.
I love that.
I really, really love this. And you know what, Ash? You actually have a lot of placements in your chart that are good for this. You have an Aquarius moon.
Yes, I do.
Sagittarius sun.
Yes, I do.
Sag Mercury too, right?
Sag Mercury.
Sag Mercury. You are very good at, you know what? I think that I could just not give a fuck about this thing.
I am. And sometimes that works against me, you know, so in lower expressions of my birth chart, blueprint, I would be very quick to be like, okay, we're done with that relationship. Bye. Okay, all set. I never have to think about you again. That would be from acquaintances all the way to family members. Like as soon as something popped off that I didn't feel good about, and I'm honestly still really good at that. And sometimes it's a good thing. It's like a blessing and a curse because it's like, you know, you have to give people a chance to see you and you have to give them a chance to see them. Like people make mistakes. And I think I'm just sometimes like, fuck the bullshit. And so bye. Like, I don't have time for this. Goodbye. And it can make me a little detached. Yeah.
That really reminds me of a lot of the healing power that Capricorn addresses, which is this balancing and healing between masculine and feminine energy, like the cohesion between the two, that we can kind of have our cake and eat it too, that we can be the logical, the practical, we can detach when we need to and when it's a necessity.
Right.
And then we also see the value in attachment and feeling and surrendering, all of these things. And Capricorn, I think, is one of the prominent signs that really teaches this, because Capricorn is technically associated with feminine energy, but is a very masculine energy associated energy.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. And, you know, not to like call anybody out that's listening, but a lot of you baby astrologers are calling Capricorn masculine, and Capricorn is technically a feminine sign. Right. And you know,
it's of the receptive part of the spectrum. Exactly.
It's important. It's an important fact to know.
That's Saturn a big one that people forget. Saturn,
Daddy Saturn. Ruler. If I hear Daddy Saturn one more time, like I'm just like, guys, like I get it. And that's why I loved what you said about how Capricorn has this like dance almost of the combination of masculine and feminine energies, because that's exactly what we see. We see this like front facing, like if Capricorn had a rising sign, it would be a masculine one, you know?
Yeah.
It'd be a masculine one. But like when you really get to the root, this is really about the art of receiving and the art of femininity. Like when you really understand the energy, the expression of what Capricorn is doing, and Saturn as well.
It's very telling that in positions of leadership and management and building, that both of these fucking energies are necessary for success.
Yeah.
That's exactly what
and just to throw it out there, Scorpio too is another feminine sign that's all about power, all about power and leadership. Like it's interesting how when we look at the chart, we look at the dividation, the dividing up of masculine and feminine, and these signs that are like powerhouses for leadership tend to lean more feminine.
Yes. And have these masculine
God
aspects,
is a Woman by Ariana Grande.
Right? Oh my God, amazing. It is 100% about embodying wholeheartedly both sides of these spectrum of energy.
Yeah.
And what is, to me, how I always see it in like my mind's eye is the glue that holds them together. How are you embodying that part?
Yeah. Yeah.
I really, really think that this is one of the shadows that gets brought up and will get brought up this Capricorn new moon, especially for major Capricorn placements and Cancer placements, is going to be this almost feeling like you have to choose one part of yourself and hide the other part of yourself.
Yeah.
And I really, really, really think that this is a time for maybe seeing the superpower qualities in those shadow parts that you keep hiding.
Hell yeah, the superpower qualities. That's funny that you say that. I've been doing a lot of shadow work meditations, like my own meditations lately, just really yearning to reconnect with my shadow as I'm doing my big business revamp. And because there's shadows all over our business, you know? So yeah, there's shadows all up in there, all up in there.
Main place I do shadow work. Yeah. Totally.
So yeah, I'm excited for this new moon. I'm always excited for a new moon. Like, let's build. Let's build. Let's create something cool. I'm here for it, no matter whether it's in detriment or not. I also am a fan of Capricorn energy. Like, this is a time for us to look at our systems, to look at our structure, to look at our money, to look at our plans, look at our 1-year plan, our 3-year plan, our 6-month plan. What do you want for 2023? Do you want to go somewhere? What's in the savings account? Like, that's how I see it. Just super practical energy about building and creating upon what you already have built and created and doing it better than you did before.
Yes.
You know? That's what I see.
I'm so glad that you brought up Scorpio, because so much of this really is about a reclamation of power. If there's any kind of theme you want to take into your intention casting for this new moon, what does reclamation of power mean for you?
Ooh.
I really, really think that would be, this is happening. Okay. So new moon exact is Friday, December 23rd, couple days before Christmas in the States. Well, in anywhere that celebrates Christian Christmas. 3:16 a.m. Mountain Time, so 5:16 a.m. Eastern Time. And this is at 1 degree Capricorn, little baby fresh Capricorn new moon.
Literally.
Make sure that you pull this up in your chart and see where this is actually happening for you. Mercury and Venus, and obviously still Pluto will all be in Capricorn as well. So we'll have lots of Cap energy. Lots.
I'm going to have a Venus on Venus conjunction, actually. My Venus is in Cap too. So it's going to be interesting.
Oh, I love that for you.
Yeah.
I would take that reclamation of power into that for you.
Really for real.
Now, people, Mars is still retrograde in Gemini. So
yes, he is.
How can you be super reflective and intentional and mindful about how you take action from here? I would definitely not be willy-nilly with this new moon. I would be very Capricornian practical about whatever it is you're stepping forward with. Don't be afraid to make sure you hit every detail, kind of is how I
would agree.
You and I were just talking about this before the show, and we wanted to talk about this a little bit. Is Ashley and I both are very divinely aligned, coincidentally or not coincidentally, depending on how you look at it. Yeah. We're both in this place of reworking, redefining a lot of those tiny details, of our businesses right now, the guts. And I really feel this message strongly for you and I, and I'm sure for many other people listening in this Mars retrograde in Gemini, don't leave a stone unturned. Let this chariot year really be the slingshot that it can.
Year of the chariot, darling.
Fuck yes. Every time I think about that, it's so motivating.
It is motivating.
Hey, neighbor. I want to take a moment to thank our episode sponsor for today, the Goddess Provisions monthly subscription box. Receiving this monthly box of magic has become such a favorite and sacred form of my self-care every single month, and I can't even forget to do it because it gets delivered right to my door. Every box is a specially curated theme, and all of the items regularly retail over $100 consistently. Plus, you're helping to support and find more small business and makers as well. You can get your box for just $33 a month, plus free shipping in the US. Get yours today and support That Witch podcast by using the link in our show notes below. So, Ash, okay. One question that I have for you, especially since you and I we are being confronted with the themes that we are, you and I are working through the shit that we're working through. What would be your advice that you would give your early business entrepreneur self at this time of year preparing for next year, because you and I both know the way that we prepare for our following year has transformed in our business.
Yeah.
We used to be, you learn how to do this. It's a skill that you hone in on. So what are some of the best, like, basic pieces of advice that you would go back and give yourself? Because I know we have a lot of people in that position that are like, I know I want to take this year of the Chariot seriously, especially when it comes to like my personal finances and business. And I don't even know where the fuck to start.
Yeah. I think the first thing I would say is stop trying to do too much. Focus on one or two core offerings or signature offerings or programs or courses or services that you want to bring to the world and master them and really make them good. I also would say that patience is your best friend. Entrepreneurship takes time. Being in business takes time. And I think so many of us are in a space like, oh, it's not working. Okay, I'm doing this. Okay, it's not working. Okay, I'm doing that. No, focus in on a few core things and just study, practice, work on everybody that you can. When I first started my business, around this time 4 years ago, I was reading friends for free and in exchange for testimonials. And that's like, get the practice. It was what I think is so important in any of this and working with people, because, it's a service-based industry and you need to integrate those confidence codes, because running your own business is such a part of your own ascension process. Like, you don't even understand how you're going to grow inside of this beast that you're creating. There's so many levels of growth that happens, and nobody really tells you that. It just kind of happens. And then all of a sudden you're like head first in like deep ass shadow work. And you're like, how do my daddy issues have anything to do with me getting a client? Like, it's like this crazy thing that happens.
Yeah.
So, being patient and practicing and being willing to learn and being patient. I'm going to say that again. So many people try to put all these different things on their plates. Hone in on one or two and get a good mentor. One thing I wished I would have done was I gotten into mentorship sooner. I tried to white knuckle it on my own for a very long time. And then my first mentorship program, it was like my third eye was blasted open. Like, this is what real support feels like. Holy shit.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I would have networked and sought mentorship so much earlier and really invested that actual time in my personal and my business development. 100%. Because the truth is that the more that you learn and the more people you learn from, guess what you learn? That nobody knew how to do it. Every fucking person had to learn from somebody else.
Yes.
Everybody, not a single, anybody that was handed something is not somebody you're learning from. So why the fuck are you worrying about a person like that was handed something? The person that you follow, I guarantee, are people that have worked for it, learned through trial and error, and invested in actual mentorship and group support.
100%.
Exactly.
It's changed my life. Mentorship, group support, being a mentor, having mentors. Like, I will never not have a mentor. And I am a huge fan of community and masterminds.
Absolutely.
Huge fan of that sort of connection.
That's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
That's how this blossomed, was because Ashley and I were business owners who networked with and discussed this idea with each other because there was an opportunity to discuss it. That's all networking fucking is. It's talking with other people that you probably already have some cool shit in common with.
It's so true. And I think we're just so trained, as Americans or whatnot. And I think what I'm about to say, I think this predominantly lives in America. That's why I say that, is this idea of like doing it yourself, and I can't have help. And if I had help, then I didn't do it the right way, or I didn't do it authentically. Like, I built this from the ground up by myself. Like, that sort of mentality is like ingrained in us so young. And we're at a new age. We can see it, that we're creating connections on a very deep level in many different pockets of society right now, including the spiritual sector. And there's nothing wrong with asking for help or investing in help. investing in somebody to believe in your dream and your vision as much as you do, and investing to be alongside someone. Like, our relationship is priceless. Like, I can't talk about this shit with anybody in my sphere. I can't talk about it. They're gonna be like, ROI,
so hard. What? Right, exactly. It's so hard to measure the benefits and support that we get from this relationship because it is professional, but it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
And so another thing that I would go back and tell myself would be kind of the same spectrum, but opposite end, which is don't be afraid to hire help.
Yeah.
I would not have waited nearly as long. And I'll just really bring in the Cap energy here with, I just wish I would have learned how to delegate sooner.
Yeah.
That's something that we all end up learning at this intermediate stage. Like Ashley and I are literally learning that right now.
Yeah.
We are finally taking off all 50 hats of our business and having to pass some of them out. And it is the most foreign feeling in the world because of all the programming you're talking about. Exactly.
Like, the saying, if you want it done right, you do it yourself. And
it's the same exact spectrum as the mentorship thing, because it's that same ego thing that goes, well, no, I'm supposed to do it by myself, whether it's hiring somebody to like actually work for you or to support you. It's that same ego talking to you saying, for whatever reason, it won't count if I do it this way.
Exactly. And speaking of which, with you saying that, one important thing too is don't squander your money. Like, when you're first starting out, you're starting to make money, you're starting to feel yourself. So you go buy a bunch of shit. No, like the first time anybody listening here is doing it, the first time you have a good month or a good 2 months, invest in help and invest in your, like a mentor or a mastermind or something like that. Like, don't just like, oh my God, I'm going to go get all these new witch toys,
Right. No. I'm going to just buy more inventory.
Reinvest it back into your business in a way that is way more tangible than a crystal singing bowl. You can get that later.
Yes. Listen, I have experience in running a retail business. Do not squander all of your funds on fucking inventory because of some perpetuated myth that that's what the customer fucking wants.
Right.
You could have all the magical goods in the world. You could be literally the best painter, the best craftsman. I don't give a fuck. You could actually be the best. And I hate to break it to you, you won't sell a goddamn thing because none of your foundation is laid. There's no strategy, no planning, no delegation. Exactly.
And that's why investing in help helps, because everything Jenny's talking about, like everything you're talking about, is so important. And the sooner that you have these foundations laid out, the more successful you will be in the long run.
Yeah. And everybody is about to say, sorry, not everybody, but I know a lot of you are about to say, but that costs money that I don't have. Listen, that's why you got to put yourself out there and talk to people.
You will find a way.
Trust me.
Are very resourceful. I once went to the Galapagos. I once literally spent a $5,000 trip on the Galapagos with absolutely no money in my banking account. I have no clue how I paid for that trip. I just manifested the fuck out of it, girl. I was like, I'm going on that trip. We're going to figure it out. I think I had like a whole house party in my basement and like charged at the door of the band. Like, I don't remember, but I got my ass to the Galapagos. Okay.
Yeah.
When we want something bad enough, we find a way to make it happen. So this narrative that we tell ourselves that it's too expensive.
Then get on Fiverr and find someone who's building their portfolio and is charging beta prices.
Great idea.
Are you kidding me? There are all kinds of people.
I've used Fiverr,
and it's a great place to start, at least to network. Talking to people,
is good too.
Ooh, Upwork is a good one.
Upwork is good too, because it's virtual assistants that are starting their portfolio, so they'll work for pretty cheap, and their work is pretty solid. I've used Upwork too. I mean,
and you can hire people for one-off things.
Yeah.
You don't have to commit to paying someone for months and months and months if that's not feasible right now. You can just hire somebody to do little bits and pieces. But I'm telling you, the biggest disservice you're doing to yourself is telling yourself, oh, I can't do it. So you don't even fucking try.
So you don't even try. Exactly.
That's the biggest difference between people who figure it out and people who don't. The people who figure it out. tried.
They tried, and not for nothing, but I've seen a return on investment on every single investment I've made in myself.
1,000,000%.
Every single, I've invested tens of thousands of dollars into myself and my business, and I've seen a return on investment in fucking everything. So
if you're a person who is honestly going to argue with me that you don't need a professional designer or brand and you want to eventually run a professional fucking company and you're not willing to invest in the people that are supposed to be doing this, then you can enjoy your side hustle forever. And that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
But there is no getting to that professional level without doing those professional
things.
Moves.
Yeah,
yes.
Very much
and
so.
the people in the spiritual industry fucking hate hearing this shit.
It's the truth though. And I don't think all the people in the spiritual industry, I think a lot of people in the spiritual industry, because there's also that.
It's the tone that's been set.
It's the tone that's been set because now we're getting into pricing. You're spiritual, your gifts. Your pricing needs to be X amount of dollars. It shouldn't be this expensive because you're spiritual. There's this whole tone that spiritual folks are supposed to be broke. Who told you that?
Yeah.
Like that's not true. Or like if somebody is spiritual and in this world and have a surplus of money, then they're fake or they're getting people or they're not real. It's like, what happened where all of a sudden everybody else could have it all, but the spiritual folks? We're not Jesus, okay? Like we're not here to just sit here and starve and be these martyrs. That's not it. We're here to be light workers. We're here to help people awaken. We're here to help people to develop their own sense of spirituality. We're here to help people open up their channels. We're here to help people read the stars in their birth charts. Like we're not here to be a martyr. And so
we're just as much professionals as any other fucking industry.
Exactly.
And we have to embody that. We have to fucking embody that. I'm so tired of this. Ooh, that stuff's icky. Then make it not icky.
Exactly.
Then do it in a way that doesn't feel shitty and unethical. But listen, babes, it's gotta get done.
It's gotta get done. Especially if we want the respect in the entrepreneurship community and regular mainstream work community. I love what you said, how we have to start treating our little space like that, because it's true. We can't sit here and be like, oh, we're supposed to take on the role of the starving artist or the poor spiritual person or all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't assign myself to hold that.
That's what I was about to say. Here. I was like, no, I didn't fucking sign up for that.
No, I didn't sign up for that. I signed up to help teach people and help lead people, and I deserve to be compensated for that. And it's that simple.
There's so much time and energy and effort and work that has gone into honing our craft and our experience. That's what you pay for from any fucking professional. That's what you're paying for is that person's experience. And there are blood, sweat, and fucking tears for years throughout that. Yes.
When you think about it, like, I love that you said that because it makes me just think like we're experts in our craft. Like years of study, of research, of own personal development, of having teachers and spiritual guides ourselves, of reading books, of looking at our stuff manifest and seeing results, like experts. And of course, there's so much to learn. Of course there is, but also don't diminish how deep this craft goes. Like people have been studying the stars for how long? You know what I mean? Tarot for how long? There's like history upon history upon history of all the channels that have been in existence. Like this is nothing to play with. This is, big stuff.
Think about the energy we take on.
So much.
From people and clients and groups, whether you're a tarot reader, an astrologer, whatever it is. But if you're in the spiritual industry,
you already know.
You're part-time therapist and counselor, but also artist and fucking creative and business owner. Like it is
problem solver.
Yes. Yeah. It is a lot on your energy. Mm-hmm. And this is why and then by the way, then we have to pay bank fees
Yep.
and taxes,
Yep.
higher taxes, by the way.
Mhm.
And we have like the
Our
amount
systems,
of
the fees for our
overhead that we have.
systems to
Yes,
run our
exactly.
stuff.
All the
Yeah.
overhead to keep the lights on in our business. Exactly.
Yeah.
To keep our people
Yeah.
pay then all of our actual living bills.
Right. Which only keeps getting more and more expensive.
Cut all of that out of a price that you're seeing and
Right.
see how much that person is actually fucking tucking away for themselves.
Right. Exactly.
And it'll make a lot more sense. That's
make
what
a
you
lot more
don't
sense,
see
yeah.
in big companies with lower priced items because
Right.
they have a whole ass company with
Mhm.
multiple streams of revenue.
Right.
That when you're an entrepreneur and you're relying on you and your fucking
Mhm.
services,
Mhm.
that one service has to cover a hell of a lot of shit.
Whole lot of shit. All the shit.
So if you're listening to this, and I'm gonna be honest, if you're listening to this and you're charging like $100 for your fucking astrology birth chart readings and fucking $40 for your tarot readings, and you're like, I don't understand why I'm getting burnt out on something I love so much, because you are not charging enough.
We got to look at those scarcity programs, boo.
There are
that's where that
ways to be
comes from.
accessible.
There
Yeah,
are ways to be accessible.
Yes,
Exactly.
I make sure to take accessibility into fucking account. I
Yeah.
don't deny that.
Right.
But what I do refuse to do is diminish my worth and value.
Right. Exactly.
Absolutely not.
Exactly. I love this conversation so much because when I think of Capricorn, I think of like that's a sign that understands their value. You know what I mean? Like that's the sign that
yeah.
I'm worth a pretty penny, honey, and I'm not sorry about it.
And that's that balance of masculine and feminine energy coming together and going, okay, how can we uphold our value and make this work?
Right.
Capricorn's not afraid to get fucking resourceful and figure shit out. I really like how you and I were talking before the show, and you have to put on your sleuth hat in your business. And that's Capricorn energy to me. Not being afraid to go, all right, we need to roll up our sleeves.
We got to do a little bit of problem solving and figure this out. Look under the hood.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. That's exactly, if you have been feeling really stuck, not knowing how to solve some kind of problem or what direction to go on something, this is a good new moon just dig into the nitty gritty, because the answer is probably already there for you.
Well, also too, Neptune's going direct on the 3rd. So it'll be direct by the time the listeners are hearing this.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So going back to what you were saying, we'll be able to see a lot more clearly, like problems, like the whole problem solving thing that Jenny, that you were just touching on it's beautiful because we'll have a primed and ready direct Neptune to play with. Mm-hmm. And then Jupiter just entering Aries, you know, this energy of expansion, fresh expansion and bigness and faith and growth and going first and taking the lead. And then we have this new moon in Capricorn. So if there have been things in your mind, I don't know, should I take A? Should I take B? Should I take C? What about Z over there? Like all that is going to get really, really clear if you kind of take a moment to quiet your mind and kind of meditate on it. Yeah.
Absolutely. One thing I almost forgot to bring up that we talked about before the show too is Chiron stations direct on this day. And that is just a big indicator for opportunity for healing, specifically gaining wisdom through healing your wounds. And so I wouldn't be surprised if there's some little triggering, something that makes you feel a little bit triggered, but I wouldn't run from it.
Right.
Because there's
Aries
definitely some wisdom. Exactly. There's something to learn. Aries is so quick to get pissed about that and is always the first one to go, oh yeah, I guess it should have happened that way. Huh? Yeah. God damn it. You didn't have to get pissed in the first place. Right. Exactly. And these are both cardinal signs. Mm-hmm. So they're going to square each other, Aries and Capricorn, a little bit. So again, you could feel a little bit of friction.
A little friction, yeah.
But I wouldn't just lean in. That's where you want the Capricorn detachment. Don't just lean into your rage and being pissed right off the fucking bat.
Channel that shit into creation, into doing something positive and proactive for yourself. And whether you have a business or you don't have a business, just I would channel the fuck out of that shit if you find yourself in frictious energy.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I know, right? We're just going to go with it. Well, not to mention too, there is Christmas coming up. So, there's lots of people that are going to be at home when they probably don't really want to be, familial interactions.
It will not be uncommon to feel triggered.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. My God, my grandma just can't help herself.
See, exactly. That's exactly, and you know this going into it.
Right.
Maybe ask yourself, if you're not willing to just go, I can let this one go, maybe ask yourself, why the fuck am I so triggered?
Hell yeah. That's great. Yeah.
That's something that we don't ask ourselves enough, I think.
Yeah.
I
would agree with that.
On the other person, you know what I mean?
And get caught up by the emotion.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And venting. We get caught up in the venting, and we're really self-righteous while we're doing that. And sometimes I think we need to step back and go like, why am I so fucking upset about this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. Like what's actually going on.
Yeah.
And then being able to communicate that to the other person is like just that one step above of becoming conscious. That shadow work, what you're talking about, being aware of our shadows and what triggers us, and not only what triggers us, but why we're being so triggered, and trying to find a way through that is really, really powerful.
This will be a good one to see what competitors in your business trigger you, or certain clients that trigger you, things in your business like that really get you fired up and going, especially comparison cycles, I would say.
Comparison cycles, yeah.
He or she has that and I don't, and they got it handed to them and I have to work so hard. That kind of shit. Yeah. That
kind of shit will kill you.
Yeah. This is a good time to ask Capricorn to shed some light on that. This was a good one.
Yes, it was. New moon in Capricorn is serving, honey.
Came through. Yeah. Really, really came through. As I'm sure both of you know, all of you, both Ashley and I, we are business mentors. So if, you're struggling through these things, if you are seeking that mentorship, you are seeking that kind of support, you have that available to you.
You do. Check out our stuff.
It's around
We're here for you.
Yes. Ash, especially for anybody who's never joined us before, will you please let everybody know where we can find you, how we can work with you, and how we can support you?
The Goddess Complex podcast is my podcast. She's really fun. And then Starseed Shadows everywhere. StarSeedShadows.com, Starseed Shadows on TikTok, Starseed Shadows on Instagram. Instagram is my main place to play. My DMs are always open. I love your little love notes. Thank you to all of you that send them. They're really nice to hear and to read. So thank you.
They're the best. We love that you guys love us.
I know.
These chats so much. So much magic comes through. Well, thank you, Ash, for coming on again today. This was a good one. The Capstelliums, they fired off today.
They fired off.
That was beautiful. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for your time today. And every day, all the fucking success and blessings magic into this new moon. And I hope that you stay safe and have fun and stay magical out there. Hi, neighbor. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of That Witch Podcast. If you want to support the show and get your hands on some really magical goodies, make sure you check out some of the awesome companies that I'm an affiliate for in the show notes below. You can also leave a 5-star rating and review on iTunes as well as Spotify now. And really the best way to support That Witch Podcast is just by sharing the show online, like your social media platforms, or telling a friend that you think would enjoy it. If you're looking for more magical content like bonus episodes, classes I teach, and support in your witchcraft, make sure you come check us out in That Witch School, my magical monthly membership with a very welcoming private online community. And don't forget to subscribe to my email list for weekly astro forecasts, journal prompts, and more, and stay up to date with all of the happenings here in the neighborhood.